I ruined my stepmom's 50th birthday party over a cake. My stepmom was a nasty woman to grow up with. Mean, vindictive, and had an inferiority complex that she used to attack anyone who was doing well, especially those doing better than her. My dad spent my childhood over the road, and mom was in and out of inpatient facilities until she passed, so a lot of my time was spent with her being my only available carer/guardian. I won't bullshit and say I was perfect, but I wasn't bad. Good student, involved in community and school activities, and as soon as I could work, I got a job. My biggest issue was that I often took an attitude with her and her family, all of whom sucked to be near. These people have been in my life since I was 4, I am now in my late 20s, and not one of them were ever supportive or kind. I had aspirations to go to school and be a psychologist, a teacher, a therapist, a veterinarian. Honestly, I think I just liked the structure school offered and wanted to continue with it after graduation, but as soon as I was handed my diploma, my stepmom handed me a notice to vacate the property. Less than a month later, I was gone. To be fair to him, my father did try to intervene and prevent the eviction since it was his home, but she was the main occupant in the house, and we were informed by a local cop that she could in fact remove me from the home and press trespassing charges if I ever came back. To this day, I think he was likely full of shit but didn't want to deal with it. So I was 18, homeless and supposed to start college a few months later, and I had chosen a local school and rejected better scholarships so I could stay home and save money on housing. I found a place with a man that became my best friend, and I did try to attend school, but honestly it just didn't feel right anymore. Between full-time work just to scrape by and the mental health issues that arose in the aftermath, I couldn't continue and dropped out. My dad was unable to offer much support, and most of my family never cared to intervene since she had convinced the majority of them that I had chosen basically to go no contact with them. She would call and gloat about how hard the real world is, make snide comments about my dying mother, and in the same breath offer sympathy and support if I came back home. At holiday dinners, she would tell everyone I was the first psychologist she'd ever seen working the till at McDonald's, and if I defended myself, I would be chastised for not taking a joke. It was humiliating, and after a few years I realized I could block her and she couldn't do shit about it. So I did. My life did turn around. I work as a pastry chef in a bakery I adore, and would love to buy someday if the owner would let me when he retires. It's not a life I ever imagined for myself, but it's a good one that I share with my fiancé, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. In the past 2 years, I resumed contact with my dad and as a result, his wife again. He's still a doormat and she's still a cunt, but she's not picking on a little girl anymore, and I bite back now. I've also managed to contact my mom's family, who had been estranged from her for decades before she died, and met people who could have truly loved me if they had known I existed. Dad's family are kept at arm's length, but I finally have a family that I can talk about when my friends are discussing holiday plans, and that's all I ever wanted. Doing what I do for a living, I always show off a bit at family gatherings, and I've often made custom cakes for relatives when asked. Boundaries have been established, and after the first cousin who tried pushing them found herself without a cake on her son's birthday, they are respected. Stepmom hates my job. She hates that I'm happy, that I don't care if I'm a bit plump, that I'm engaged and she's not allowed near the wedding. She hates that I'm good at what I do, and try as she might, the only thing she can ever insult is the fondant. Which, fair. I don't care for it either. At my dad's birthday party last month, I baked a lovely 3-tier red velvet cake for him and provided numerous pastries as well as a cookie buffet. My boss is a godsend for letting me use his industrial kitchen to make it all. Day of, all stepmom could say was my cake tasted like a box mix, and that was it. 2 decades of abuse and I was finally done trying. I spent days making everything I provided, all free of charge, and she compared my labor and knowledge to fucking Betty Crocker. No shame to anyone who bakes/likes Betty or any other boxed mix, but it's like comparing fast food to your own home cooking and the fast food being preferred. A total slap in the face to the hours of labor and effort, and years spent honing and perfecting recipes. She asked me at the beginning of February to bake her cake for her 50th, no other details other than she didn't want red velvet, and it was for 100 people. I agreed. I stocked up on Duncan Hines and canned frosting, slapped the frosting on top of shitty sheet cakes a day before and didn't bother decorating any of them. Stepmom was livid. I ruined her birthday, embarrassed her in front of her friends and family, how could I be so callous, etc. I just told her she compared my cake at Dad's party to Betty Crocker, so she must prefer low-effort cakes. I left shortly after she started crying. Apparently she had planned on Instagramming the party, and had planned on my normal quality of care for my desserts. Dad didn't care, he just said it was best if I'm not around her for a bit and we meet up somewhere other than his house. I don't want to be near her again, and I hope her family choked on that dry ass cake.